email every month, but it would still buy people like chicken soup. Or were you still on the polls then? Like on the so it should be either way. My point being is that he's right about this. That's the
Hold on.
I've been there for a while.
Still not good to take the shot, do not take the shot.
Like video game or things?
yeah, I was just like, what does right, so there were
So like,
so then if you just jump forward, so go back to the top.
I do, yeah. Sometimes, I mean,
Like,
the
yeah,
signal here
that's
is
gonna
never
be
good.
like almost
That's why we use the lunchbox usually.
30 minutes and it starts at so go to the top. Right, so then just push whatever day you were.
We're gonna get it out.
So if you were
That's all you get. Anything else?
all of this together. Yeah, you guys are putting it together. So it's a transition period.
The first like what, 2 weeks ish is like a.
Last weekend, I'll have to remember that. When we're down there this weekend.
So how did that work? So what you've missed it. No. Well, I do want to know what those guys are.
recording here.
Oh, okay, okay.
TV and
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Just standing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He lost Susie. Too much. Just a little things working. Yeah, I haven't seen that. She's so good just in walk in. I have a lot of hot questions ready to roll. Or like I found it.
See, so you had another half day?
Yeah, how's the war in Ukraine looking?
That might be the same. It might be the same.
He said even box, but it's not.
That was my favorite part. Another half day.
You go ahead.
Yes, I'm right here. I'll take the rest.
Is he away or there?
Yeah.
Oh. Oops. Lean in, you know?
Still know what the time is, so not take our shot.
No.
See, bourbon shoes. We look for how to do the shoes.
Huh?
You have more than 50, right? You want to do, you have to say the word.
That's better. Which is probably well sized, yeah. Okay.
Good to go back. Anytime.
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning, we are good, we're good to take the shots live. 2-minute warning.
No, 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 look, it is.
Yeah. Can I reset too?
That was set the workout.
My favorite.
Nailed it. Yeah.
So we're all here anticipating everything.
know that
Who is it? They sent Gorky?
Gorka.
Yeah, just.
Actually, no, not that fast. Their website is wrong. I jumped in there.
Yes, everything's good. It's just me, sorry.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Hearing 5.
The updated 2-minute warning is a 5-minute warning. The updated 2-minute warning is a 5-minute warning for those watching.
Just got a 5-minute warning now.
Total running time.
Yes.
For here, we just got a 5-minute warning. Take that.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Nice to see you. Some very familiar faces. Well, thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here today. We have first full day as president. We're back, and we had a great first term, but we're going to have an even better second term, and I think we're going to do things that people will be shocked at. We're starting off with tremendous investment coming into our country at levels that nobody's really ever seen before, and they're very happy with the fact that I won the race and that they feel confident in their investments, and it's big money and high quality people. So my first day back from having a nice life, it's my honor to welcome 3 of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man and an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America. As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say the by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. So I appreciate that, fellas. But it'll ensure the future of technology. What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country, and we're making it available. I'm going to help a lot through emergency declarations, because we have an emergency. We have to get this stuff built. So they have to produce a lot of electricity, and we'll make it possible for them to get that production done very easily at their own plants if they want, where they'll build at the plant, the AI plant, they'll build energy generation, and that will be incredible. But it's technology and artificial intelligence, all made in the USA. Beginning immediately, Stargate will be building the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of advancements in AI, and this will include the construction of colossal data centers, very, very massive structures. I was in the real estate business. These buildings, these are big, beautiful buildings. They're going to employ a lot of people. And physical campuses in locations currently being scouted nationwide. They're making their choices of locations. I think they have their choice. I'd like to ask Larry, Sam, and Masa to say a few words and just talk about a little bit about what they're doing, and if you have any questions, and then we'll go into a couple of other subjects also. But this is, to me, a very big thing. $500 billion Stargate project. I think it's going to be something that's very special. It'll lead to something that could be the biggest of all. So, Larry, maybe we'll start with you, and we'll go down the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We certainly couldn't do this without you. It would simply be impossible. AI holds incredible promise for all of us, for every American. We've actually been working with OpenAI for a while and with Masa for a while. The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas. Each building's 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, but that will expand to 20 and other locations beyond the Abilene location, which is our first location. The kind of applications that we're building, to give you an idea, maybe the most charismatic and the one that I think touches us all is electronic health records, not just maintaining electronic health records, but by looking at electronic health records, understanding the condition of doctors, better understanding the condition of their patients, and being able to provide healthcare plans that are much better than they otherwise would be. A doctor in Indian River Reservation would be able to see how a doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering would treat the patient, or a doctor at Stanford would treat the patient. We actually provide all of that information, all of that guidance to the doctors who are treating cancer patients or patients with any other kind of disease, made possible by AI. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm going to pass it to Masa, but this is a very exciting program for Oracle to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you. That really helpful. That's good. That's great. I feel tall now. Thank you. Well, Mr. President, last month I came to celebrate your winning and promised that we will invest $100 billion. And you told me, oh, Masa, go for 200. Yeah. Now I came back with 500. Because this is the, as you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age of America. This is one great example, I think, right? We wouldn't have decided to do this.
I think so.
This is the beginning of golden age. We wouldn't have decided unless you won. And yesterday we agreed, we signed to make this happen. Because of this day. So we would make this happen. We would immediately start deploying $100 billion with a goal of making $500 billion within next 4 years, within your term, right? Because of your success. So we are very, very excited to do this. And our partner is, of course, SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and additionally investing partner with MGX. On top of that, we have the technology partner, NVIDIA, and of course, Microsoft has been very, very supportive to Sam and continue to support all our success. This is not just for business. As Larry said, this will help people's life. This will help solving many, many issues, difficult things that otherwise we could not have solved with the power of AI. I think AGI is coming very, very soon. And then after that, that's not the goal. After that, artificial super intelligence will come to solve the issues that mankind would never, ever have thought that we could solve. Well, this is the beginning of our golden age. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fantastic.
Sam.
I don't have too much to add, but I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era. And as Masa said, for AGI to get built here, to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, to create a new industry centered here, we wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President. And I'm thrilled that we get to. I think it'll be an exciting project. I think we'll be able to do all of the wonderful things that these guys talked about. But the fact that we get to do this in the United States is I think, wonderful. So thank you very much.
Could you just say one word? I I hear so many positive things about what it's going to do for medical research and for solving things, cancer and all the different problems. How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
These guys can maybe share more about some of the work they're doing there. I think they'll jointly be some of the leaders about driving progress here. But I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Okay, great. Very good. Thank
Can
you.
I speak and answer that question, Mr. President? So we're currently working on. Should I step on this? Okay. All right. No. I'm not that tall. I'm not that tall. I'm not that tall. I'm not that.
You look even better now.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most exciting things we're working on, using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again using AI, in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Great, thanks. Yeah, just 1 second, we'll finish up. But these are highly respected guys. I was shocked with Larry because I don't even think Larry does this stuff. You did a very good job for a guy that doesn't do it much, right? But he's so respected, and the group, and it's really an honor. But for Larry to be here and do this is very unusual because he doesn't do this stuff. He doesn't need it. He does, and you don't need it, do you? Huh? You don't need it. But I think it's an honor to the country. It's a great honor that this group, these are the top people, that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it here, and we're going to make it as easy as it can be. A $500 million Stargate project comes in addition to a separate pledge between $100 and $200 billion from, as we know, from Masa that we talked about before. Also, $20 billion from DMAC, which was great, and we have many others that are coming. Some I just announce it. It's easier, but with some, I know them, and they're so highly respected. I'd rather do it this way. Many would like to do it this way, but we're letting the world know what's happening. This is money that normally would have gone to China or other countries, but in particular China. In total, before the end of my first full business day in Washington and the White House, we've already secured nearly $3 trillion of new investments in the United States, and probably that's going to be 6 or 7 by the end of the week. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in for many things other than even AI. AI seems to be very hot. It seems to be the thing that a lot of smart people are looking at very strongly. And our country will be prospering like never before. I think that's true, and it's going to be the golden age of America. As I say, yesterday we had the most ambitious, action-oriented day of any administration in history. No, there's never been a first day like yesterday, as you know. I signed a sweeping slate of executive orders to stop the invasion of our borders. I launched a government-wide effort to defeat inflation and bring down the cost of daily life and bring down the cost of energy, magnificently bring it down. And when energy comes down, Larry, I'd say generally speaking, when energy comes down, everything else comes down. The prices of food and the prices of everything else come down. Energy is that's the big baby. And we declared a national energy emergency to drill, baby, drill, our term that we use. We're going to drill, baby, drill like never before. We ended destructive DEI mandates across the federal government and returned our country to a merit-based system and a common sense system. As you know, the Supreme Court gave us a decision on merit, where things in this country can be based on merit now instead of a lot of different rules, regulations, and things that really put our country at a big disadvantage. We permanently stopped government censorship and restored free speech. That was signed yesterday. We renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Sounds so beautiful, the Gulf of America, and returned the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley. They took off the name. And he was actually a great president. He was a very, very successful businessman. He ran for governor of Ohio. He won and did a great job as governor, ran for president, and he won. He was assassinated, ultimately, in his second term, unfortunately. But he was the tariff king, and I don't think he was as bad as I am. I think I believe in him even more than him, but he believed in him very strongly. And he raised massive amounts of money. Our country was at its richest from 1870 to 1913. We had the most. That was when we were the richest, relatively speaking. We were the richest during that period of time. That was tariffs from other countries. And our administration's moving with unprecedented urgency and speed to confront every single crisis facing us, and we'll get the job done. And again, I want to thank Sam and Masa and Larry for being here. It's an honor to have them. And we'll take a few questions if you want.
Some of the executive orders, you would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer,
Sure.
right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned, DJ Rodriguez, he drove a stun gun into the neck of a DC police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. You take a look at what's gone on in Philadelphia. Take a look at what's gone on in LA, where people murder people and they don't get charged. These people have already served years in prison, and they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing. I also say this: you go to Portland, where they wrapped police officers, shot police officers, nothing happened to anybody. You go to Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city and people died. Portland, a lot of people died. Wait a minute. And you go also, take a look at Minneapolis, because I was there and I watched it. And if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city wouldn't even exist today. People were killed and nobody went to jail. So these people have already served a long period of time, and I made a decision to give a pardon. Joe Biden gave a pardon yesterday to a lot of criminals. These are criminals that he gave a pardon to. And you should be asking that question. Why did he give a pardon to all of these people that committed crimes? Why did he give a pardon to the J6 Unselect Committee when they burned and destroyed all documents which showed that they did what was wrong, not me? Wait a minute. Why did they give a pardon to all of his relatives? His brother, who made millions of dollars, to all these different people, he gave pardons. That's the question you should be answering. All right, go ahead. Yeah, please.
If I can just,
Tell us a little bit about your
Steve, can I just
meeting.
follow up with that really fast?
No.
I just want to ask
Go
you,
ahead.
you said
Tell
you
us,
will.
tell us about your meeting with Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune. Did you reach any conclusion on this one big?
Pretty much. I think we have a good situation now. It's been in some ways made simpler by Los Angeles because they're going to need a lot of money. And generally speaking, I think you'll find that a lot of Democrats are going to be asking for help So I think maybe that makes it more one-sided. I think we're going to do very well. Look, we're going to take care of Los Angeles. I'm going there. I'm going to North Carolina, which has been abandoned by the Democrats. And I'm going to North Carolina, very importantly, first. I'll be there on Friday. And then I'm going from there to Los Angeles. And then I'm going to Nevada. And I'm really going to Nevada to thank them for the vote, because we won Nevada overwhelmingly. And that's usually a Democrat vote. And I just want to go there to thank the people of Nevada for the big vote. So we'll be making that. Yeah, please.
The leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were freed following their pardons yesterday. At the time, back in 2021, you urged them to stand back and stand by. Is there now a place for them in the political conversation?
Well, we have to see. They've been given a pardon. I thought their sentences were ridiculous and excessive. One of the guys took down a flag that was an anti-American flag, and he was given years in jail. I don't know the exact number, but he was given many years in jail. I thought it was very excessive. And at least the cases that we looked at, these were people that actually love our country. So we thought a pardon would be appropriate, yeah.
Mr. President, is it also true in your conversations with Republicans today that you asked them to consider recess appointments for cabinet officials?
I think, yeah, if it's needed. I don't think it's going to be needed. Marco, as you know, got passed overwhelmingly with 99-0, which is pretty amazing. Marco's going to do a great job, Secretary of State, but he just got, I guess he was the first one and just got approved. That's some vote, 99-0, and the nothing was a vote that he would have gotten if we wanted to do it. But you know whose vote that was, who's doing a great job right now as vice president.
Did you also talk about some sort of a trade or a deal involving wildfire relief in extension for a debt?
Well, what I really want to have done, I was talking about this with the guys back in the Oval Office. Los Angeles has massive amounts of water available to it. All they have to do is turn the valve, and that's the valve coming back from and down from the Pacific Northwest, where millions of gallons of water a week and a day, even in many cases, pours into California, goes all through California down to Los Angeles, and they turned it off. It's off now. The valve goes, it turns toward the Pacific Ocean, and all that water goes pouring into the Pacific Ocean. If they did what I told them to do, they wouldn't do it because politically they didn't think it was good. I think it's great politically. I think they're dead politically. What they've done, they've destroyed the city. What they've done to that city is unbelievable. The sprinklers, their sprinklers in there like these right here that you see, none of them had any water in them. They didn't have any water. The fire hydrants, 40% of them had no water. The brush was just dry. Everything was dry. The sprinklers on the lawn weren't allowed to even be used. So, you know, everything was dry, and it was an inferno. They created an inferno. So we're demanding that they turn the valve back toward Los Angeles right now. It's not even believable that they haven't done it. Just so you know, they have a valve, and it turns like, think of a sink, but multiply it times many thousands of times the size of it. It's massive. And you turn it back toward Los Angeles. Why aren't they doing it? They either have a death wish, they're stupid, or there's something else going on that we don't understand. But we want the water that they're throwing away to be used for California. And that includes the farmers of California. You know, when you drive up north, you see all of the land. I couldn't believe it. I was with Devin Nunes when he was a congressman and some other congressmen from the area, and we're driving up and we're on the highway, and I keep looking at these farms, and the land is bone dry. And then you'd see an acre, about an acre or 2 acres, with the most beautiful green plants growing in it, the most beautiful it's rich stuff. And you look at the soil, and it's so rich. That soil is almost the equivalent to like Iowa soil. It's phenomenal. It's got no water. But the reason it has no water, I said, do you have a drought? No. I said, what do you mean you don't have a drought? Look at the thing. It's dry as a bone. The reason you have like an acre is because they say you can farm 1 acre, but no more, because they didn't want to waste water. But they throw the water into the Pacific Ocean. These people are crazy. So we're going to be issuing an executive order demanding that they immediately let that water come down to through California. Farmers, even people living in Beverly Hills. Now, those people have been a lot of them are wiped out. Believe it or not, they were having restrictions, Larry, you know about this. They wanted to restrict you to 38 gallons of water a day. That sounds like a lot, but it's not. When you're a rich person and you like to take a shower, 38 gallons doesn't last very long. And they have all this water, and it's really good water. Up high, Pacific Northwest, some comes in from Canada, a nice country, by the way, comes in from Canada, and it comes all the way through California, and they're restricting it. You even have the half pipes, the half pipes, the cut pipes, big ones, bigger than this room, and they're going all the way down, and they're bone dry, and they could be loaded up with water. No, but isn't it incredible that they don't do it? And it's to protect the Delta smelt. It's a fish that's doing poorly anyway. But I said, how are you protecting the Delta smelt by not giving it water? It's a fish. It needs water. Nobody can answer that question.
On TikTok, Mr.
Well,
President,
let me do this first.
are you open to Elon buying TikTok?
Say it.
Are you open to Elon buying TikTok?
I would be if he wanted to buy it, yeah.
And on your inauguration,
I'd like Larry to buy it too. I have the right to make a deal. So the deal I'm thinking about, Larry, let's negotiate in front of the media. The deal, I think, is this, and I've met with owners of TikTok, the big owners. It's worthless if it doesn't get a permit. It's not like, oh, you can take the US. The whole thing is worthless. With a permit, it's worth like $1 trillion. So what I'm thinking about saying to somebody is buy it and give half to the United States of America, half, and we'll give you the permit. And they'll have a great partner, the United States. And they'll have something that's actually more valuable because they have the ultimate partner, and the United States will make it very worthwhile for them in terms of the permits and everything else. But so think of it, you have an asset that has no value or has $1 trillion value. It all depends on whether or not the United States gives the permit. So what I'm saying is let the United States give the permit, and the United States should get half. Sounds reasonable. What do you think?
Sounds like a good deal to me, Mr. President.
Yeah, he can afford it too.
Mr. President, you're a president who has long said that you back the blue, but aren't you sending the message that assaulting officers is okay with these pardons?
No, the opposite. In fact, I'm going to be letting 2 officers from Washington Police, D.C. I believe they're from D.C., but I just approved it. They were arrested, put in jail for 5 years because they went after an illegal, and I guess something happened where something went wrong. And they arrested the 2 officers and put them in jail for going after a criminal, a rough criminal, by the way. And I'm actually releasing. No, I am the friend of police, more than any president that's ever been in this office.
More than 400 of the people that you pardoned, though, assaulted officers. So I want to ask you about the Vice President, J.D. Vance. He said, this is a week ago, he said, if you committed violence on January 6th, obviously you should not be pardoned. Why is your Vice President wrong?
Well, only for one reason. They've served years in jail. They should not have served, excuse me, and they've served years in jail, and murderers don't even go to jail in this country. And we had 1,500, we have 16 under review. As you know, we commuted about 16 of them because it looks like they could have done things that were not acceptable for a full pardon. But these people have served years of jail, and their lives have been ruined. And in many cases, listen to me for a second. Stop interrupting. They've served years in jail, and if you look at the American public is tired of it. Take a look at the election. Just look at the numbers on the election. We won this election in a landslide because the American public is tired of people like you that are just one-sided. Horrible people in terms of crime. You don't talk about all the people that have been killed and what happens to those murderers. Murderers get no time. You take a look at some of these DAs. They go after political opponents, but they don't go after people that shoot people in the street. They're caught. They know where they're living. They know everything. They don't even go up to pick them up anymore. They just let them live there. They know all about it. They have their pictures. They have the tape of the shooting, and they don't even go up and you're talking about this. No, we pardoned people that were treated unbelievably well, poorly. In the history of our country, there's never been anything take place like this. They're still looking for them, but they're not looking for the murderers, the people that are killing everybody. We are, though, and we're getting them out of the country. We just started that. We're getting them out of the country, and they're going to be gotten out of the country fast. They came in illegally from jails and from prisons. They killed many people. Some of them killed many people. About 50% of them killed more than one person. They were released into our country. That's what we're focused on, not the kind of nonsense you're talking about.
You've called for a ceasefire in Ukraine. If Vladimir Putin doesn't come to the table to negotiate with you, will you put additional sanctions on Russia?
Sounds likely.
And
Yeah.
do you think that the war should be frozen currently along
The war
current
should have
battle
never
lines?
started. If you had a competent president, which you didn't, the war wouldn't have happened. The war in Ukraine would have never happened if I were president. But that couldn't happen because the election was rigged. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, there's been some debate within your orbit over whether or not to keep or eliminate H-1B visas. What's your position on that? Do you want to keep H-1Bs or do you want to get
Well,
rid of them?
I like both sides of the argument, but I also like very competent people coming into our country, even if that involves them training and helping other people that may not have the qualifications they do. But I don't want to stop. And I'm not just talking about engineers. I'm talking about people at all levels. We want competent people coming into our country. And HB1, I know the program very well. I use the program. Maitre d's, wine, experts, even waiters, high quality waiters. You got to get the best people. Now, then you go into people like Larry, and he needs engineers, and Massa needs, and this gentleman needs engineers like nobody's ever needed engineers, right? So we have to have the quality people coming in. Now, by doing that, we're expanding businesses, and that takes care of everybody. So I'm sort of on both sides of the argument, but what I really do feel is that we have to let really competent people, great people come into our country, and we do that through the H-1 program.
Mr. President, are you looking to impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico in an effort to force negotiations sooner on USMCA?
No, it's really not on USMCA. It has nothing to do with that. They've allowed, both of them, Canada very much so, they've allowed millions and millions of people to come into our country that shouldn't be here. They could have stopped them, and they didn't. And they've killed 300,000 people last year, my opinion, have been destroyed by drugs, by fentanyl. The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive. The fentanyl coming through Mexico is massive. And people are getting killed, and families are being destroyed. I mean, the son gets killed, and the family is a basket case for the rest of their lives. I mean, I've seen mothers that thought they'd heal. They never heal. They say it gets worse with time. It gets worse with time. They lose their boy. They lose their baby. They lose their young daughter to fentanyl poisoning. And I had that talk with President Xi the other day, too, of China. I said, we don't want that crap in our country. We got to stop it. I would have stopped it. I had a deal with him where he was going to give the maximum penalty, which in China is the death penalty for drug dealing. And he was all said he was going to give the maximum penalty to fentanyl dealers. If they send to the United States, they were going to get the death penalty. And of course, Biden didn't pick that up. I had that deal all done. It was all wrapped up. We were going to have it done. And then the election went, let's put it nicely, didn't go the proper way. I'm trying to be nice about it. It was rigged. And we had an incompetent president elected, and he never followed up on that deal. But he should have followed up, because if they got the death penalty, they wouldn't be sending fentanyl to Mexico, Canada, and other places.
Mr. President, how much will the
We're thinking about that too. We're talking about a tariff of 10% on China based on the fact that they're sending fentanyl to Mexico and Canada.
How soon on those tariffs?
Probably February 1st is the date we're looking at. For Mexico and China, we're talking about approximately 25%.
Date on the Gaza ceasefire, and are you planning to travel to the Middle East soon?
We're thinking about going to the Middle East, not yet. we have a thing called the hostages are coming back going on right now, and they are coming back. Some of them have been very, very damaged. You look at the young lady with her hand practically blown off. You know how that happened, right? Did you know how that happened? When you find out, you're not going to be too happy because it was terrible. But the hostages are starting to come back. If I weren't here, they wouldn't be back ever. They would have never come back. They would have all died. If this were done a year earlier, if Biden would have done this deal a year and a half, 2 years ago, or frankly, it should have never happened. October 7th should have never happened. Nobody should be dead. But through weakness, they allowed it to happen, and then it was a disaster from them. But you go back just 6 months ago, many of these young people were living. Young people don't die like that. They're just dying. And young people aren't dying at 22 and 23 years old. They don't die. But now they're dying, and you wonder why they're dying. They're being killed, and they have been killed. But they say 6 months ago, you would have had 11 more living hostages. Think of that. 6 months ago, but Biden couldn't get it done, and it was only the imposition that I put on as a deadline that got it done. But it's a very sad situation. It should have never happened. I'll tell you, 2 things should have never happened. 3 things: inflation should have never happened. It would have never happened, except for what they did to energy and their crazy spending. And Ukraine would have never happened. Never. By the way, Russia never would have gone into Ukraine. I had a very strong understanding with Putin that it would have never, ever happened. He disrespected Biden. Very simple. He disrespects people. He's smart. He understands. He disrespected Biden. And also, the Middle East would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. It would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. But it did happen. So this is the cards I've been given. And we're getting the hostages back. That would have never happened under Biden. They would have never come back. They were just dying not that slowly. They were dying or being killed. But that was what was happening.
So are you going to keep sending weapons to Ukraine, or are you going to turn off the tap soon?
Well, we're looking at that. We're talking to Zelensky. We're going to be talking with President Putin very soon. And we'll see how it all happens. We're going to look at it one thing I do feel, the European Union should be paying a lot more than they're paying, because under Biden, I mean, we're in there for $200 billion more. Now, it affects them more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between, right? Little thing called an ocean. The European Union should equalize. We're in there for $200 billion more than the European Union. I mean, what are we, stupid? I guess the answer is yes, because they must think so. But the European Union takes advantage of us tremendously on trade, and they now take advantage of, and always have. If I didn't get involved years ago, my first term, one of the first things I noticed was that they're not paying enough. They're not paying. And a lot of those countries weren't even paying. The NATO countries, they weren't paying. Only 7 out of 28 were paying. We were one of them. And Poland was one. And they had a few of them that were paying, and some were paying very proudly. Usually the closer to the borderline of Russia they were, the faster they paid, okay? The ones that were further away tended not to pay so fast. And one thing on that, I think they should lift their number not to 2%, but to 5%. NATO should be at 5%, not at 2%. 2% is ridiculous, yeah.
You asked President Xi in your conversation about Ukraine, you asked him to get involved in helping settle that. Can you tell us about that?
I did, yeah. I said, you ought to get it settled, because he's not done very much on that. He's got a lot of power, like we have a lot of power. I said, you ought to get it settled. We did discuss it, yeah.
Do you intend to continue selling products that benefit yourself personally while you're president?
Well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
You made a lot of money, sir.
How much?
Several $1 billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
President Biden, can you give us some sense, broadly speaking?
Yeah, he wrote me a nice letter. I mean, I did open it last night. And I didn't know. Peter said, did you get the letter? I said, wait a minute, let's see the letter. It's sort of a tradition. You put it in the drawer. especially of the beautiful Resolute desk, right? And I opened it, and there it was. It said to number 47. And it was a very nice letter. I mean, I could show it because I think it was a nice letter. Maybe I will. I think just basically it was a little bit of an inspirational type letter, you know, enjoy it, do a good job. Important, very important, how important the job is. But I think it was a nice letter. I think I should let people see it because it was a positive for him in writing it. I appreciated the letter.
Mr. President, were security concerns at all a factor when deciding to move your inauguration indoors?
No, not at all. No, not at all. It was just cold. Look, if we would have, you know, I just went out to the helicopter, right, we said goodbye. That's a tradition. As long as before it used to be a stagecoach, and then helicopters came along. But that's been a tradition. You go out and you do that. And we stood there for 10 minutes, and I'll tell you what, people would not have been able to get through that day. That was cold. It was sort of interesting. Don't let the sun fool you. Tell me something. Sunny days can get very cold, can't they? Because that was so freezing yesterday. You couldn't have gotten through it. It would have been. And the answer is no, it wasn't security. With that being said, I thought the Capitol, the Rotunda, was beautiful. 72 degrees, unbelievable sound. You know, it's like being in an opera house. I could see people wanting to do it there rather than outside.
Why did you remove John Bolton's security clearance, sir?
Because I think there was enough time. It's we take a job. You take a job. You want to do a job. We're not going to have security on people for the rest of their lives. Why should we? I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well because every time people saw me come into a meeting with John Bolton standing behind me, they thought that he'd attack them because he was a warmonger. He's the one that got us involved, along with Cheney and a couple of others, convinced Bush, which was a terrible decision, to blow up the Middle East. You know, we blew up the Middle East and we left. We got nothing out of it except a lot of death. We killed a lot of people. And John Bolton was, one of those guys, a stupid guy. But no, you can't have that for life. You shouldn't expect it for life.
Is that meeting that you mentioned with President Zelensky, will that take place here, and when and where will you meet with
I don't
President
know. I mean, look, President Zelensky would like to have peace. He's told me that very strongly. He'd like to have peace, but it takes two to tango. We'll see what happens.
When will you meet with President Putin?
Anytime they want, I'll meet. I'd like to see that end. Millions of people are being killed, and they're being killed. It's a vicious situation, and they're now largely soldiers. A lot of people have been killed in the cities. They look like demolition sites. Buildings, massive buildings bombed and coming down. The thing with Ukraine is that many more people died than you're reporting. You're not reporting the real numbers, and I'm not blaming you for that. I'm blaming maybe our government for not wanting to release those numbers. Many more people died than what you know about. When those big buildings come down and they say 2 people were injured, no. Many people, thousands of people are being killed. But the real killing now is on the war front. It's a very flat land. And the only thing that stops a bullet is somebody's body. And you have young soldiers. So Russia's lost about 800,000 soldiers now. Ukraine's lost about 600 or 700,000. I think the numbers are low that they're giving out. But they've lost massive numbers of young soldiers. And that war should stop. It's very flat, it's beautiful farmland, and it's flat and really beautiful in a different kind of a way, but they don't have any protection. The only thing that stops a bullet is a body, and those bodies are stopping a lot of bullets, and they're being decimated, both sides.
Your conversation with President Xi, what did you tell him in terms of when to expect tariffs, and what can he do to avoid them?
About which one? About tariffs? We didn't talk too much about tariffs other than he knows where I stand. Look, I put large tariffs on China. I've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. Until I was president, China never paid not 10 cents to the United States. With me, they paid hundreds of $600 billion or so, or more than that even, of tariffs. And if I didn't do that, you wouldn't have a steel mill open in the United States right now. You wouldn't have one steel mill open in the United States. So what I did is I saved the steel industry. I saved other industries too with other tariffs. Other countries are big abusers also. You know, it's not just China. China's an abuser, but the European Union is very, very bad to us. They treat us very, very badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our cars at all. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take very much. We have a $350 billion deficit with the European Union. They treat us very, very badly. So they're going to be in for tariffs. It's the only way you're going to get back. It's the only way you're going to get fairness. You can't get fairness unless you do that. But the European Union's treated us very badly. But essentially, everybody treats us badly. You know, everybody treats us badly. Yes, go ahead. Because we allow them to. Because we've had stupid people doing this, and we can't have. I'd like to have these three people negotiate for us, just for 1 week, and we'd be a rich country again. But we'll be rich.
Mr. President, on AI data centers, will you rescind President Biden's executive order that opens up federal land?
On which centers?
On data centers. Will you rescind President Biden's executive order that opens up federal lands for data centers and energy production?
No, I wouldn't do that. That sounds to me like it's something that I would like. I'd like to see federal lands opened up for data centers. I think they're going to be very important. Again, we have a lot of competition for that. So it's an honor to have these three great people, great CEOs and great geniuses, all three. It's an honor that they want to come to our country, but we're going to make it as easy as we can for them because other countries want them to. I'm going to have to go now. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Do you have TikTok on your phone?
No, but I think I might put it there. I think I'll get it right now. By the way, again, we won the young vote. I think I won it through TikTok. So I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I know, I was trying to read, not ask too many.